Welcome to this second part of the second phase of the Right Way Forward methodology, which is the MAT stakeholder dialogue process. The MAT stakeholder dialogue process is also known as the dialogue for change in the Right Way Forward methodology, and it is meant basically to create space for discussions and negotiations between duty bearers, citizens, and organizations for issues that the community want to achieve in their own context. So this is basically a phase which creates space for organizations and the communities to also understand the different structures for decision making within the community, the different ways of decision making within the hierarchy of the government administration, being at the lower level, mid-level, or high level at the same time. So the communities and organizations will get space to understand what is actually happening in the decision-making processes so that they can be able to lobby and also to influence support from the duty bearers, but also other stakeholders. So this is generally what it is meant by the MAT stakeholder dialogue phase in the Right Way Forward methodology. So what are the steps under this phase? There are 3 steps as well. So the first one being the strategies for dialogue. So the strategies for dialogue is meant actually to help communities, organizations, and other actors to be able to negotiate, to be able to gain skills, knowledge, and understanding of the different ways that can help them to engage into effective negotiations, effective dialogue process with the duty bearers, with other actors. They try to learn, for example, how communication can be utilized at the maximum so that they can be able to effectively pull this goal that they want to achieve in their communities. They also want to try to understand the different actors that they can engage in this process, because there are so many actors that are involved depending on what the communities have prioritized in their community action plans. So this first step, which we are talking about, is basically meant to create space for knowledge, for experience sharing, to understand more about how you can be able to engage the duty bearers, the stakeholders, and also other actors that will be able to contribute to the change that the community wish to see. The second part, or the second step of this phase, is actually called the community implementation. So what is the community implementation? This is a step that gives information to the community members and other representatives of the community to be able to understand how they can be able to start making implementation of some of the issues that they have prioritized in their community action plans. We should always remember that the communities have already prioritized different issues, and those issues need to be implemented. But some of those issues are issues that will need support. They are a little bit higher compared to the ability and the resources that the community can be able to afford. So the communities and the representatives of the communities will basically look into those activities that they can be able to do by themselves. They want to try to understand those small projects that they can be able to achieve by themselves, and that's why we are talking about community implementation. So they will try to achieve some of the small projects. For example, trying to do activities such as mobilization of the community, especially around those issues that hinder development in their community or in their societies. Those can be, for example, practices which are cultural, but they are not supporting development initiatives in their context. So that is the second part, or the second step of the MAT stakeholder dialogue process. But then this takes us to the third step. So the third step is actually the dialogue itself. It is the dialogue between citizens, between duty bearers, and other actors, to try now to understand how these communities can be supported to achieve their main goal for changing their own context. So the duty bearers and other stakeholders will try to understand the context of this community. They will try to understand what the community wants to achieve in their own way, and then their role will be to try to support them to achieve this. But this is not an easy task. The community members need to try to convince and mobilize these different stakeholders at different levels so that they can be able to solicit support and gain confidence in the negotiation processes. So this is a platform, basically, which gives space for negotiations. And it can take different ways, it can take different forms, ranging from visiting the duty bearers in their own offices and localities, but also to organizing a platform or a meeting session where all these stakeholders, all these members can meet together and try to discuss these issues. So this is the third step of the methodology. But now, having looked at this, we'll try to summarize that the third step, which is the dialogue space, will basically be achieved only if there is good preparation that is made or created by the community facilitators. As we mentioned earlier, that these are the ones who actually drive the process. In summary, the multi-stakeholder dialogue phase is made up of 3 steps. The first one being the strategies for dialogue, the second one being the community implementation, and the last one being the dialogue with the duty bearers and the other actors, together with different stakeholders ranging from community members, organizations, and so forth. So, having looked at this second phase of the methodology, we'll now look into the next video, which will try to understand, or which will try to give us information on some of the efforts, some of the achievements that this methodology has tried to achieve in the different contexts that we have been working together with the organizations and with the different stakeholders. So this is the second thing that we will try to look at into the next video, trying to give some concrete examples of what have been achieved in different locations, in different countries, in different communities, together with different actors. So keep your eye open for the next video, and thank you so much.